Libra, how are you all doing? So I'm going to be doing your February 2021 reading, and I'm going to be looking at some of the placements in your chart linked to the tarot messages that kind of give us some issues, but also ways that we can solve those issues, and just a general overview of the month. If this doesn't resonate, maybe check your rising sign, because I find that your rising and your sun sign together can give a really good overview. If it doesn't resonate at all, then maybe watch a video that does. It's totally fine. So let's get a message for Libra, February 2021. Okay, so we've got the Lovers card, which is actually great for February because of Valentine's Day, and you're going to specifically have a really good Valentine's Day because you have this really nice trine in fellow air signs, which actually means that you're going to have much more promising pursuits outside of work. So that tends to be really good romance for Valentine's Day, and also just feeling more relaxed outside of work as well. So that Lovers card is just saying a great Valentine's Day. I definitely think there's a sense of maybe in the past you've had a little bit of difficulty with something, and you haven't really, you felt that you haven't won the fight, should we say, with this 5 of Swords in reverse. And I mention that because Mercury and the Sun kind of come to your rescue a little bit, followed by Venus, and that's kind of suggesting to me that you've had some things that haven't gone so well, but they're going to turn quite positive. So I think that in particular is kind of just suggesting that in the past you've had some issues, and particularly again with this 4 of Cups, which is really all about being tired and fed up, maybe feeling that you kind of didn't get much movement with something, or it's like, okay, I tried to push this movement and it didn't really go the way I wanted it to, and there's a real sense of that coming through actually, and this is just feeling like fed up, almost like you tried to master something but it didn't quite work. Maybe because we've got this 3 of Pentacles, which is kind of a little bit about trying to master something, and maybe you would, didn't really move, like you tried your best and something just didn't go right there. Yeah, there's a real sense of that actually, like what I would say, like perfection, things are less than perfection, and it's like, But having said that, I will link this card to other things as well, because this is actually a good card upright. I think intuition is really at the highest point this month for you, especially with this Hermit card. I think when you take some time away, maybe if you have got a partner or you've got somebody that you want to spend Valentine's Day with, do take an extended weekend away. Do kind of experience more leisure than you have been. I think you deserve it. I think you need the rest and the replenish. And that's linked to the Hermit being more intuitive. I know the Hermit kind of says to me, if you are introspective and you do put the work in spiritually and sort of internally, psychologically, whatever you want to call it, it does bear fruit, because then very unusual and inventive, creative ideas start to flow. And if you're very artistic or you're very creative, then that comes through really well. If you're trying to explain a case to somebody, you're trying to explain an example, you'll find a really creative way to do that, because you've kind of gone in and thought, what am I good at? I'm really good at being artistic. I'm really good at being analytical. I'm really good at finding interpretation in things. And because you've done that, because you've relied on your intuition and your gut, and you're saying, oh, I know how to do this, it really pays off, especially with work. So I think that you're going to be feeling quite inventive and a little bit more constructive, maybe even wanting to put a makeover on your house, or actually give a makeover on yourself, just wanting to be a little bit more constructive, But I do think that you can have the tendency to be a little bit, if on the flip side of that, it's like, I wonder if that's actually going to bear fruit, okay? Because of this King of Cups in reverse. It's a sense of, actually, the creativity can be stunted if you feel nervous about it. So this is why I think you should take time off, because if you don't, you can get overwhelmed by these ideas in your head, and because of that, nothing happens. You start to escape to fantasy land, and even though that can be quite good, to put yourself into a nice book or a movie, it's difficult because you're always stuck in the dream and not the doing of it, right? Some people are a dreamer and some people are a doer, aren't they? And sometimes you can be both, but it's always best to just be one or the other. And you guys should be doers, not just dreamers, okay? So it's good to just take some time off to, rest and relax. But you've also got Jupiter's influence, which is kind of pushing you to be really optimistic and a little bit more indulgent than you have been before. Again, so you're feeling optimistic about mastering something, and because of that, it can kind of play on your emotions a little bit, because like I said, you can feel nervous about being creative, but you also really want to push it because you're like, well, you know what, I'm optimistic about this situation. So there's a sense of juxtaposition there, and a dichotomy of, well, I feel one way, but I also feel the other, okay? And I think that sometimes this might lead you to, when you're confused, it leads you to start overindulging in things like buying things you shouldn't, eating a lot of food that that maybe you hadn't before. I'm not going to say that you should or shouldn't eat lots of food. I think that's a very fine line, isn't it? And if you want to eat a lot of food, then you can eat a lot of food. Actually, it's like comfort eating, which the Germans call grief bacon. And it just means that you're just eating your feelings and food, which is fine, but just be careful of it, because obviously that can lead to health issues as well. And again, because of Jupiter's influence, that pushes that on a little bit more with feeling very optimistic and quite indulgent, Curb the cravings if you can, is what I'm trying to say, in the nicest way possible. I also think with this Four of Wands in reverse, I don't, sometimes this can be romance, but because we have a good romantic cycle this month, I'm going to link this to society and neighbours. And I definitely think that you're going to maybe have some issues with siblings and neighbours, with your family members, especially with mothers, because sometimes you have a tendency to say things in a very sharp way, and it can come across really quite mean. And I know you don't mean to, you're very well intentioned, but it can come across like, whoa, that was quite harsh. And you may find yourself just saying, you know what, I can't be arsed with any of you, I can't be bothered, I'm just going to cut my ties. And there's a real sense of you pulling away from society, which is also linked to this Hermit card, pulling away from it. Society is not the thing. I don't want to deal with the neighbours, I don't want to deal with my mother or my sister or brother or whatever, I don't want to deal with it, okay? But we also have Seven of Wands, which is actually very successful, and this is gaining advantage on something. And you definitely will, because I think success has recently found you and is still finding you. And specifically, if you're thinking of investing money, this is a great time to do it this month. Start investing, especially on the 23rd, because you're going through, you're going through this hermit stage on the 23rd of self-analysis, and you start to think, okay, maybe if I invest a little bit of money, this will be very successful for my future. I can do this with my partner. I can do all these amazing things that I would never have thought to do. I can just really go within, and there's a sense of being satisfactory, and things maybe haven't always been satisfactory, but you're now looking at broader horizons. You're looking at what can make you successful. And I think the importance on self-analysis on the 23rd is linked to this Temperance card in reverse, which is almost like maybe you haven't always learnt from the lessons that have been given to you, learning from mistakes. And also, will you use this success to, to keep going? Will you ride on that success? Will you learn the lessons? Will you let yourself be a student, Because I think that's quite interesting, that you need to keep in mind that the moves that you make for your career and your romantic life, you have to do your best to learn the lessons and ride that train as it goes, okay? Wow, so really nice actually. Do you know what I love the most about this reading is that all the cards link so well to the placements in your chart, which is what I hope I've described to you, with the good romance for Valentine's Day because of the trine of air signs, and because of the self-analysis on the 23rd, because of Jupiter's presence, which is making you overindulgent and also making you quite optimistic about being more creative. But also, I think that you are planning for the future. Okay, you're planning for the future. And Saturn isn't in your chart just yet, so you're not going to be worrying too much about having to move and bounce around. You're kind of thinking, okay, I want to focus on the present now. I still want to think about the future in some ways, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. Okay. So that was your reading, Libra. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give this a like, but you don't have to if you don't want to. And I hope you have an amazing February, and I'll catch you around.